Home Affairs Minister Dr. Schreiber says Home Affairs needs to expedite its digital transformation program in order to safeguard national security. Schreiber made the remarks during his opening statement before Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. The department gave an account before Parliament on, among others, the visas of the 95 Libyan nationals that were arrested in Mpumalanga, and also gave an account, or rather update, on the case related to former Miss SA contestant Chidimma Adetshina's mother, who's currently being investigated for identity fraud. Joining us for more on this is Abra Barbara, our reporter. Abra, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. A very comprehensive address by the Minister that we heard on the state of affairs in the department, stating that Home Affairs at this stage is extremely vulnerable to all kinds of fraud and corruption, using, of course, the 95 Libyans case as an example on why they need to immediately digitize. Talk to us about this.
Mfundo, good afternoon. Yes, I think the Minister just used this opportunity today to highlight just how bad the situation is in terms of records keeping at the department. So, of course, the issue of the 95 Libyans and the Miss SA contestant, those are very topical issues. They've been in the media over the past few weeks. But the Minister was trying to paint a picture of how all of those issues could have been avoided, and he put it all down to better records keeping. Yes, the issue of the Miss South Africa contestant, that did happen 23 years ago, but it all boils down to proper record keeping. So he said that in terms of the 95 Libyans, for instance, the DG of his department outlined step by step, and it's a whole lot of steps that he went through, but he outlined step by step exactly what went wrong there. At the moment, the fault, if I can call it that, is straddling on Home Affairs and on DIRCO, because it was a DIRCO official who granted these visas to the Libyan nationals who applied for them. And I mean, if you just look at how she went about that process, the visas were handwritten, first of all. They didn't get security clearance. They never got a stamped letter from the company who hired them to come to South Africa. And then they didn't even apply for study visas. The official just decided, that's the kind of visa I'm going to give you. So there were a whole lot of discrepancies and flaws in the process. When I asked the Minister who's to blame, he basically said he doesn't want to apportion blame to anybody. He said DIRCO helps Home Affairs out at its specific missions because Home Affairs is so financially constrained that it only has 40% of its staff to do the various applications that Home Affairs is supposed to do. So in the case of visas at missions abroad, they asked DIRCO to step in, and this was one of those cases where DIRCO stepped in, and the process, of course, went horribly wrong. Mfundo?
And I suppose this is the vulnerability he speaks of, because he spoke about the fraud, corruption, and as well as the discretion that is now left to officials, where you have an official that just decides you're getting a study visa because that's what she's decided on. But he also gave an update on Chidimma Adetshina's case. We understand that the victim of the identity fraud has since been identified, and also that 2 Home Affairs officials are now being investigated for their role in that matter. Talk to us about this.
I hope I'm hearing you correctly, because there seems to be a bit of interference on the line. But in terms of Ms. Adetshina, the Minister says the investigation is so complex. It was so complex that nobody in the committee actually understood what was being said. It was a matter of this mother and that mother and this mother's child and that mother's child. And one of the MPs actually asked the officials to please try to make things simpler for us to understand, because it was a very convoluted presentation. But at the end of the day, it is a complex investigation. The Hawks is currently still investigating. Nobody's IDs have been revoked or cancelled that we know of. Nothing has been done to Ms. Adetshina herself, the daughter, because she's in this situation because of her parents. So once the department has decided, once our authorities have decided what to do with her parents, from there it will be decided what her fate will be as well. So the mother has been issued with some kind of a notice. I'm not sure under which act this notice falls. She was issued with a notice, I think, last week, and she has a couple of days in which to answer this notice, and then based on her response, the department will then decide how to take things forward. But they did say that there is room for Miss Adetshina Jr., the younger, to apply for citizenship if it comes to that. The Minister, of course, said this, of course, comes with a whole lot of other issues, and he's just asked that, he said that Home Affairs just wants to make sure that they have an extremely watertight case, so that if this matter does go to court, they will definitely come out, you know, with all their ducks in a row.
All right, Abra, thank you very much for that reportage. That was SABC News reporter Abra Barbia, who's monitoring proceedings of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs in Parliament for us this afternoon.